Hello everyone. So today we will start talking about a new topic related to the data structures and algorithm. So that will be our the very first topic connected to something what we call middle level of the programming. So definitely compared to the previous version of the code, of the simplest code, so that may have some parts which will be much harder to understand. But anyway, this is what we will do during this certain course. And among the many different topics, which has a little bit higher complexity than general basic programming, so maybe the simplest one is the concept of the dynamic arrays. So maybe you already heard about the dynamic arrays. So and today our target is to discuss what is this, why dynamic arrays is necessary, discuss advantage and disadvantage of such kind of the programming tool, and for sure try to implement and check all of those advantage and disadvantage. So for sure, like some certain parts of that particular coding will be like hard to make a good example, but I will try. So okay, so let's begin. So what is dynamic arrays and why do we need to study such kind of arrays? So remember the last lecture, our introduction to the basic programming level, we had been covered one-dimensional array and the two-dimensional array. So in the modern programming, the concept of array is extremely important. So the all data what we are using mostly unify into the set of data, which is array. And at the time when we need it, so we are calling that particular data. So arrays nowadays they are everywhere. So impossible, or like very hard to make application, like any kind of application where the arrays will not be used. Only very simple basic application nowadays may avoid arrays. Okay, so once we start using the arrays, so definitely we will need to discuss what it is exactly. So, and let's briefly talk what is array. So after that, it will be much easier to understand uh, why do we need something else than the general common arrays. Okay, so now let's start talking about the general arrays. So the way how to create it. So such kind of discussion we already did last class, but very briefly. So right now let's do it in detail. So how to make arrays? The first we're supposed to specify the type of our array. So let's say I will make array integer a brackets equal new integer 5. Okay, so this is the general way of making arrays in right now Java. So in any other languages, there is the very similar way of making an arrays. So now integer, this part, this is our type of the numbers what we are going to insert into that array. So right now this is the integer, means that I cannot insert the floating part, and that particular data what will be inserted will be just the set of the integer numbers. Okay, so next is a. So this one is the array name. So the data, if I will need to get access to my array, so I will have to call that particular name A, and in the square brackets here I supposed to place an index. So the next part is that square bracket will tell the compiler, okay, so the A is not single variable. A, this is the set of variables or array. Okay, and that particular array like equal new integer, so this part is the way to make array. Again, this is the command for the compiler, which will initiate creating an array. So, and another important part here is this 5, which is the size. Okay, so now once that the array is created, so here the important part will be what is exactly going on inside of the computer memory. Okay, so here let's say, so somewhere here computer memory. So, and we can present our computer memory as some table. So now in that particular table there is cells. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so the configuration can be different, but okay, let's assume that the memory, this is something looks like a table. Okay, so the table has cells, and each cell of the memory so has access. So this is our like memory cell. Okay, so each cell the memory cells. So each memory cell has address, so and specified name. So according to our declaration, so here we occupied 5 different elements of the size integer. Okay, so all of those 5s will have name A with the different access. For example, if I want to get access to the first cell, I supposed to call A0. Okay, so here if I will do A1, so that will be the access to the second piece of memory. So similar A2 here, so A with the index 3 here, A with the index 4 here. Okay, so by using that particular names and indexes, now I can get access to that memory cells. So that's why I can read data from them and I can add data to that particular cell. So that's why the concept of using array is too much important. We are getting access to the computer memory and we can handle it as we wish. Okay, now again in the last class example, so we did very simple, like 0, like let's say 5, A 1, 6, A 2, 0, A with the index 3, let's say 7, A with the index 4 is 11. Okay, so if I will call such kind of data, so in the computer memory here will be what? A in the position 0. 5, 6, 0, 7, and 11. Okay, now if I will make something like this, integer result equal a in the position 0 plus a in the position 2. 0, let's say 3. Okay, so what I can get. Okay, now let's discuss what is that. See, this is also integer result. So means that somewhere else in the computer memory, so I will also occupy some piece of memory and I will call it result. So result is not array, this is just one single variable. So that's why it's occupied some specified space in the computer memory. Okay, now integer, so is what? This is the 4 bytes. Okay, so means that each cell here in the computer memory will be the 4 bytes. 4 bytes here, 4 bytes here, and everywhere. This is the 4 bytes. Why it is 4 bytes? Because again, so here we specified the type integer. Integer is the 4 bytes. So that's why for the each memory cell, so we will occupy exactly 4 bytes, and in each of that particular cell, so we will place that numbers. Okay, now what will be the result? See, the result is that what? A in the position 0, this is 5. A in the position 3 is 7. So that's why our result will be 5 plus 7, 12. So that's why in the computer memory, so here, that particular 12 will appear. Okay, so this is the brief explanation what is array, how does it allocate it in the computer memory. Okay, so and such kind of explanation implies that there is some problems with that particular use of our arrays. Okay, so here array limitation. So what kind of array limitation? So we may find right here. The first, impossible to change array size after declaration. See here, if once I fix that my array size is 5, so here in the code, if I will meet one extra element in my array, that will be like using the general array concept will be no way to make that array bigger. So means that once I want to use array, I should specify what is array size. And once it is done, I cannot change that number. So if I already set 5, and if I need array with the element like 6, so that element is not exist. And again, I cannot create it from the code. So I should create it before I start coding. So, and that makes sometimes very inconvenient situation, because there are a lot of cases when that particular number will not be given in the beginning. So, and what is the very common solution here if I don't know the array size? So here I can specify the big number, let's say 100. So, and as default, I will assume that this 100 will be big enough in order to solve all possible cases. This is very inconvenient from many different sense. For example, if I will set up 100 here, let's say, not 5, 100. But among this 100, I will again use always 5 and maybe sometimes 6. So arranging 100 elements, and if I will use only 5 or 6, this is not really convenient. So if I will fix 6, sometimes 7 may appear. If I will pick 7, 8 may appear, and so on. So if the size of the array is not fixed, so that's create tons of problems. Again, in general, there is no like easy way like to control array size, and the array size must be fixed. This is the rule. So, and that creates some kind of issues what we are discussing today. So the way how to make array size flexible is nothing else as the dynamic array what we are discussing today. But before going exactly to the dynamic array, so we must feel the problem, why it is here and why it is too much important. Okay, so see the second part, like the number of elements in the array must be known before coding. So that's exactly what I just told you. So if I don't know exactly how many elements will be inside of my array, and will be the situation when that number must be bigger, so that will, as default, crash my application. Okay, so and the number of such kind of situation is quite common, so not always possible to see what is the array size. Okay, so and just in order to make sure that everything is clear, let's go for the coding. So I prepare two different programs. So see here, where is the like C program 1, program 1. Okay, so this is our. Okay, I think this one we don't need anymore. Okay. What is going on right here? So if in that particular source code, so we will start discussing array limitations. Okay, so I will just show you how does it looks like, and later we will make that particular code. Okay, so I will disable this. It is not important anymore. Okay, so what is going on right here? There is the program which prompt user to insert some numbers. Okay, so in some process, the users can add as many numbers as they want. So I don't know, they are adding grades, or they are adding something else. Temperature, so they are adding the room numbers, or they are adding like millions of possible situation is here, which can explain why do we need to add some particular numbers. So in that particular scenario, this is the most common scenario where I have no idea how many numbers the users will insert, because this is completely up to him. See here, just please insert an element index 0. So, and he will just insert some number. Let's say, okay, in our example, what was the number? 6, 5, 6, 0, 7, 11. So let's add these numbers. So 5. Okay, so what is going on here? As long as I don't know how many numbers I will need to add into my array, so I assume that there are only 5 numbers what I will add into my array. So situation is identical what I just present here. Okay, so and we prompt user to insert that particular number. So please insert an element in the position 0. Okay, so the user said 5. Okay, so and the element 5 will be inserted in with the index 0, what was also displayed here. And see, immediately my application will ask, okay, please insert an element with the position with the index 1, and I will insert 6. Okay, so now we can see the 6 appear in our array. So the next is 0. Okay, 0 I cannot simply see here because all elements I like as default set up as 0. Okay, so the next is 7. Enter, so 7 here, and the last one is 11. Okay, see what's happened now. As long as my application have no idea when to stop, so technically I can make a limitation, let's say, okay, I cannot insert more than 5 numbers. So, and as default, that will solve all of our problems. But what if the user must add one extra number? And the array length must become not 5, that should become 6, 7, 8, or even bigger numbers. So what is happening here? As long as there is no such kind of limitation in my program, if I will add any other numbers, let's say 4, so my application crash. So why does it happen? Because again, my array A has only 5 elements, and now I try to insert element in the position 6. So, and that element does not exist in my code, an application crash. So, and this is the problem. So my application must know that, okay, right now there is the situation when everything will be crashed, and do something, control it, and the solution is to add extra element to array. So, and such kind of process is nothing else as the dynamic array. So where the array size can be changed during the procedure, not during the coding, during the execution, when the program is running. Okay, so the first of all, yeah, let's start it again. So, and we will discuss like what is exactly coming here. So what I will recommend us to do is to do something like this. I will insert the first number and we will discuss what is going on here. So just in order to do everything as it's supposed to be, I will create a new project. I will call it dynamic arrays video, as long as I am doing the video. Okay, so we will not create anything else. So here I will add a new class. So the new class name I will call dynamic array program 1 video. So and we will try to do that part. Okay, so I made a mistake. I forgot to add class. Okay, so don't forget to add this like void main string argument. Array program 1. Okay. So and this is our reference. Okay, let's keep it as the reference, what's supposed to be displayed in the screen, and one by one let's make the source code. Okay, so the first what I need to do is to display the arrays limitation example 1. So system out print println println. So in here I will display array race mutation example 1. Example 1. Okay, so now if I will launch it, here we will see the first line array limitation example 1. Okay, so the next what I will need to do is to declare my array. So integer array, so new integer 5. So I do have only 5 elements in my array. Okay, so see, in my array all elements are 0. Because if we just make an array, so we will not know what exactly inside. So usually this is some kind of random strange symbols. So I want to make all zeros. So here add zeros to array. So integer I0, I less than 5, I plus plus. Okay, so here array in the position 0, I equal 0. Okay, so here everywhere we will add zeros. So the next what I want to do, okay, let's display array. Actually right here, so we did not display. So we display array only after I insert the number. So let's display array. So for that I will use the function display array. So that function we already tried last class. So here I will just mimic it. Public static void. Actually, yeah, here we're supposed to use static. So display array. Okay, so actually here we can display many different arrays. So that's why let's add that array inside of our function. So here will be integer array, integer array. So here we will specify what exact data will be going on into our function, and here we need to display my array. So I will just copy this part. This is the same. Okay, so in here, so the first, let's so let's say here ln we don't need array, something like this. See here array to brackets, and after that I will need to display my so after that I will need to display my array number by number. So as long as okay, so actually here array doesn't really need to be the same name. Let's change the name array. Inside. Well, let's call it like array in. So the name here, it doesn't really matter. I just want to make the name different from the general name in the application. Okay, so here will be I. Okay, and I also need to display the comma. So I want to separate them. Okay, so now if I will launch, so that will be something like this. Array limitations, example 1, and here we will display the array. So array with like all 0 numbers. Okay, the next what I want to do now, one by one, we will need to add elements into our array. So as long as I have no idea how many times, so we will need to add that particular numbers. So here let's make a loop, infinite loop, to insert elements to array. So again, we don't know how many elements I will need to display, so I can use the while loop to display that particular number. So here I can just simply write true. So and means that this array that loop will never be finished. This is not really nice programming part. So maybe better to do this boolean process true. Okay, and place it here. So if I want to stop my loop, I supposed to change that process from true to false, and my loop will be stopped. So up to now, this is not important part. So here, what I want to do, kind of prompt user to insert numbers. Okay, so now how to do that? So here there is something that's called scanner. Okay, so before let's make that scanner. Scanner name doesn't matter. New scanner system in. Okay, so as default, it is saying that this scanner does not exist. So okay, so here, see there are two solutions. So just place the mouse nearby the error and see here there are many different things how to solve that particular error. So the problem is that where is the specific library scanner, and that scanner as default is not inserted to our application. So just do this like import scanner Java util. Then right here we do have that necessary path. So and every time here when I need to insert the number, so actually here let's say number equal scanner cs equal cs dot next integer. Okay, so and just in order to make sure that it is working, let's display it. Okay, I will use ln new number. Okay, so how does it work? So here something like this. So here we can insert that particular number, and our application will will knows that the user insert so that number. So such kind of procedure is not really well organized. So because there is no any text saying that okay, so the user must insert that particular number. Actually, the first what I found, see here this for appeared right here. But anyway, so the first what we will need to do is to kind of display what exactly is going on. It is also here and here. You can see here, please insert an element like with the index something. So, and let's do this. So system print out, I can use, yeah, just print. Okay, so here will be please insert an element. Now let's call it number, a number with the index. I will modify it a little bit. So with the index, okay, and here I supposed to specify what is the index. So in array, it is started from 0 until 5. So that's why in our code, let's make that particular index. Let's call it like inserted number, and that inserted number is 0 because we didn't insert yet here. So here I will display like please insert number with the index number. So now I will need to display that particular number 0, 1, and so on. Okay, so that's, I will use again like print out, like system out print, and I will just add this inserted number. Okay, so now what will happen? Okay, and the first we will see the problem. Actually, it doesn't go to a new line. So please insert a number with index 0, and it is kind of keeping here. So the problem with the when we display the array, so here in the last command, that's supposed to go to the new line. So just come here to our function, and at the end, let's just add a print a line. So that's as default will move us into the new line. Okay, another problem. So here I want to have a space. See, here was the space. So number space. So and that will give us something like this. So array. So that display everything, and the last line 46. So will move us into the new line. And the next line will please insert a number with the index 0. Okay, I can also print this. Yeah, but that may not be necessary. Okay, anyway, so now if I will add some number 3, yeah, so that will display that particular number. See, it doesn't looks really great, so that's why better to place like 2 dots and space. Okay, so once that the new number is assigned, so now we can print it out. Okay, so here yeah, let's try like number is okay. See what is happening now. So we will process this while loop like million times. So and every time I will display like please insert number with the index something. So after that we will display that particular index 0, 0. Okay, so after that I will display like 2 dots this part. Okay, and we will create like we will wait until the user will insert the number from the keyboard. That's why we need that particular scanner. So once he like type something, press enter, so that particular number will be saved as the new number. So now in the computer memory will be one variable, which is the new number. So and the next what we will do, we will display that particular number here as the new number. So and finally I supposed to see this. So I will insert 5. It is saying a new number is 5. So now it is asking us to insert another number. So if here I will insert 10, so it's saying a new number is 10. Please insert a number with the index 0. So first of all, see here that particular index is always the same. Why? Because inserted number here is 0, so means that explain how many numbers I already insert into my array. So it is 0. We did not insert anything else. So and we need to insert something. Okay, so in order to resolve that particular problem, so right here I can just change that number, inserted number plus plus, and here we can add that particular number. So and that index now inserted number will be changing. Okay, so and see this part, a new number. I don't really need. So here I just want to show you. So that the new number we can use in order to insert something from the keyboard. So, but in our application, I do have array, and those numbers must be inside of that array. Okay, so here instead, I can do this. So, array in the position inserted array is my number, which is inserted by the user. Okay, so I don't really need to print this. Instead, I can print my array here, like this. So what is happening now? Again, we will ask user to insert the number. We'll wait until the user will insert that number, and after that we will place that particular number in the array in the position inserted number. Okay, once we did it, so we will just display that particular array like this. So here if I will place like 2, so the 2 will appear in the first position in our array. So now if I will add another number, so that second number will appear here in the next position. Okay, and I can keep doing this until I will add all elements in my array, and the last time if I will add one more number, our array, like our application crash. Okay, so how can we solve that particular problem? See, this is definitely bad, and we need a solution. So what is the idea above the dynamic array? Okay, so here let's come back. Okay, so now dynamic arrays. So right now we do have one array which occupied 5 cells. So each cell integer. So in here we can get index. Yeah, okay, I can write it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the numbers what we inserted, let's use that numbers. 2, 5, 7, 9, 6 numbers, doesn't really matter. So 2, 5, 7, 9, 6. Okay. So again, this is our computer memory. Let's call it PC memory. So now the idea is to insert one extra item, which is 4. So what do we have to have? Again, this is our PC memory. So inside my array, now must have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 elements. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so here there should be 2, 2, 5, 7, 9, 6. Okay, and here I supposed to place my 4. So, and the general idea is to implement a method which we call dynamic array, which can allow us to insert that extra element into our array. So what will we have to do here in order to process such kind of things? Okay, I will start from our original. Okay, so here I can write this is the original. Okay, so that one is what I want. Okay, let's call it optimal, not optimal. Final. So that's what I supposed to get at the end. Okay, now what exactly I can do? So again, right here I can write my 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is my array. So I just copy from the previous one, 5, 7, 9, 6. Okay, now, so what I will do, I will create zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some new array, we can call it temp. Okay, and after that I will just copy all of that numbers here. So here will be 2, 5, 7, 9, 6. Okay, and here will be the empty element. Okay, so and what do I need to do is to rename my temp. Like technically what I need to do is to say array equal temp. Okay, so and that will be my final destination. So this is the main idea of the dynamic array. So in our application, so we need to check whenever the all elements in our array is already occupied. So if so, let's create some temp array. So where I will duplicate all of my numbers with extra room for other numbers. So and simply replace that particular array, that temporary array, to the array what I had in the beginning. So and now let's try to implement that particular logic. Okay. So this is our source code. Okay, so here one more thing what I want to do. video. Okay, so I don't want to modify that particular code, so let's keep that code as it is with that particular error. So because once we will modify our source code, we will add a lot of extra things to our source. So that's why better to make a new code where we will start from this current code and we'll modify. So in that case, you will have two different sources, general array and array, dynamic array with the fixed problem. So see in the reference part, I do have two source code. So here I want to do the same. Yeah, I made mistake, made the same names. Okay, now I will correct it. Okay, so here new class, let's call it dynamic array program2. Okay, let's call it video. So the first one also must be video. Okay. Don't forget to add main function. Okay, so and what I want to do is to just copy the old source what I have here into my new code. Just okay, copy from here until there. Okay, be very careful with the brackets. So make sure that you are doing exactly the same. Or you can just copy that particular source part by part. You see, actually, that bracket left, that bracket left. So what I did, I add my code here. So, and let's call it like array dynamic example 2. So let's call it in this way. So, and let's see how does it work. So array, dynamic array, example 2. So that's what we want. So the code is working. So now I can interact with the code. And let's do that. So 2, 5, 7, 9, 6. Okay, so the last one was 4. And as long as we did not change anything, it is dying. Okay, so what exactly do I want to add here? So the first of all, what we will need to do is to add some global variables, which one I can read everywhere inside of my source code. Okay, so here assign global variables and arrays. Okay, so see, this is my main code. So this one. So when I launch my application, so that function is the main function, and everything what is written here, I will execute. So we do have one function, display array. That particular function, again, execute only the components, variables, and arrays, what is inside of that particular function. See here, array in, this is the input parameter. So in our main code, main function, so when we call the display array, so here I add array what I want to display. Array, but inside of the function display array, exactly the same array now has a different title, array in. So again, I made that kind of separation for a reason. You should understand that everything what is inside of the function is different. This is just the copy of the code of the data what we just designed in the beginning for the main function. Okay, so now there is a very nice way how to avoid such kind of like very complex data relationship in between different part of our code by implementing the concept of the global variables. So what does it mean global? Global means I will see that particular variables everywhere in my source code. Okay, now where do I need to assign that particular variables? If I will do them, will assign it inside of my main function, so they will be visible only here. So if I will try to make another function, let's say display array, so I must have input parameter, because otherwise will be no way to send the data inside of my function, side functions. So, but if I will define the global variables, so which will be visible everywhere in all part of my code, so I don't really need this part. I don't need to send any parameters to print my array. Okay, now maybe a little bit confused, but let's try to do that. So what I want to do is to make that array what I have as the global parameter. Okay, so then I will do a trick. So here integer array okay, so like this. So right now that particular array must be global. See, I declare that array before the main function. So means that this particular array now must exist everywhere in our application. So actually here inside of the main function, so I can just like define that array in this particular manner. Okay, see here it doesn't really understand what is that, because as default Java wants to make that array static. Okay, just click here, change to static. Yes. And see now everything is became correct. So another important part, see here I set up this number 5, but I don't know how many elements do I need for my array. So that's why let's make one more global parameter, static integer array capacity. So here I will identify exactly how many elements do I need for my array. So, and if that number will be assigned as 5, so means that I will create array which contains 5 elements. Okay, so we already have it in our code. So here, so instead of placing 5 here, I will just set up array capacity. So later, if I will change that number, I will assume that I am modifying, like I can link to the general array size. So and as long as the array capacity is the global variable, so we can control. And I will need one extra variable, static integer. Let's call it number let's call it something like this, inserted number. So that particular variable will tell us how many elements I already insert into my array. See what is happening. So now my application will know how many elements do I have in my array, 5. Okay, so here I do have another variable, inserted numbers, which will tell us how many elements I already inserted to our array. So, and if this number will be same or bigger than array capacity, so we will have to do something with our array. So without such kind of checking procedure, so it will be impossible to implement the dynamic array logic. Okay, so see, inserted number 0. So here we actually already define it here. So I will remove it from here. Okay, now see, add zeros to array. So as long as instead of 5, I already set up array capacity, so that's why I will just change that 5 to the array capacity. Okay, display array. Now let's come here. Display array. See here, it is 5. Again, change to the array capacity, because that number will not be 5 all the time. So in some moment, I want to make that number bigger. Okay, so now everything is, I can keep everything else is same. Okay, and if I will run this code, so you will see that nothing changed. Okay, so this is our code. So here, if I will add 4, crash. Okay, but now our code can control. Can I add element to our to our array, or do I need to skip, or do I need to do something else? Okay, so yeah, let's check. So if inserted number, like equal or bigger, so usually that will be equal. Yeah, but let's make bigger for some sense. Array capacity. So okay, like this. So here, inserted number equal 5. So what do I need to do here? Again, so here I will have to add new. Or like that, increase array size. So here I'm supposed to increase array size. So I already know that now. So if those two numbers are same, okay, so here I'm not sure about this equal. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's check it later. Because I think if it is same, I still can. Okay, 5. Yeah. Okay. 5. Yeah. Okay. Increase array size, and I want to call the function again, and just in order to keep consistence, let's call that function increase array size. So I will not add or any parameter. So here let's call it public static void increase array size. Increase array size. So and now we can come back to what we already discussed here. Okay, the first what we will need to implement is this part. Okay, see here I'm supposed to make array temp which contains 6 elements instead of 5. Okay, so here the step one, create a new temp, let's call it the capital like temp array with length or size, with size I can call as long as I don't know. So that particular number can be different. Let's call it like array capacity plus 1. Okay, so let's make it integer new, integer temp new integer. Okay, and here array capacity plus 1. Okay, so that will be the temp like with size 6. So that's what we want. Okay, now see, I do have array with 2, 5, 7, 9, 6 elements inside, and now I already create the array temp, but this array is empty. So what do I need to do next? Is to copy the elements from array to temp. Okay, so that's why here, step 2, copy data from array to temp. Okay, so and I will just copy this array, this loop. Okay, so here will be the array capacity, because remember the array capacity so is still 5 now. Okay, so in here what I can do is to make this temp I equal array I. So and we will copy. So after that we will have this part. So what we did, so we copy the elements from array to array temp. So but the array temp has size like 1 element more compared to the previous case. So now our current temp array size is 6, previous array size was 5. So you see what do we need to do? Now my array must become temp and everything will be fine. So after doing that kind of operation, so my array will be replaced with the array temp. So and finally that will be our solution. So array equal temp. Done. Okay, so after this comment, so my array so will contains element 2, 5, 7, 9, 6. Okay, and here will be the, I will call it X element. So altogether will be the 6 element, where the 1 element will be vacant. And in the code, what we do have right now, so we will just like allow that array to be changed, and the new array here will dynamically change size from 5 to 6, but in such way that array, the new array, already contains all elements what the old array had before. So that's why we don't need any other manipulation with that. Okay, so see here, it is saying I don't know what is this. Problem is that here I made a typo. So when you're making the function's name, later we will use class's name. Remember that each symbol is important. Don't make that mistake. Okay, so now everything is fine. So what is technically happen here? So every time when my number will be the same as the array capacity, so I will increase the array size by adding one element. At the same time, I will copy the all elements as it displayed here. So and now I will have an empty room. So now my array has the size 6, and at the end I can add that particular number 4, which I failed to add in that particular scenario. Actually, we can check how does it work. So here, what was the numbers? 2, 2, 5, 7, 9, 6. Okay, see here, if I will add 4, our application doesn't crash. But here, where is the funny thing? See, I cannot display number 4. Why? Why I cannot display that number 4? Remember our display array based on capacity, array capacity. So it means that at the time when I increase the array size, insert that extra number, I also need to update my array capacity. Okay, so here update array capacity. So that array capacity now must be 6, because array capacity is telling us how many elements do I have currently in my array. And now we can do it again. Okay, so 2, 5, 7, 9, 6, 4. Okay, see now my array change the size. Okay, so what else I can do here? It's just a kind of like cosmetic modification with our code. Every time when I increase array, so I can mention that, okay, I will do it. Okay, so let's copy this part. Okay, add, increase array size. So every time when I will increase array size, so I will display that particular message. Okay, and another interesting things what I can add every time when I display the array. So let's also display. So here is again. So here, when I display the array, I also want to display what is the current array size right now. As long as our array size is not fixed value anymore, so we can also display that particular data in the screen. So here, display array size. Array capacity. Yeah, technically the same. Okay, so and I will just undo this. Okay, like this. Array size equal println I don't need because println is here. So let's display array capacity. So when right here I can see that particular array capacity. Okay, now let's try. So see, I display the all elements and it is saying that array size equal 5. So it means that I can add 5 elements into my array. Okay, now 2, 5, 7, 9, 6. Okay, see, I met the situation, then I want to add extra element and I increase the array size. Okay, so in here it is actually prompt me to insert an extra number, so I will insert 4. Okay, so it is saying that array size now is 6, and right here we can see number 4. As long as this is the infinite loop here, so I can keep inserting that particular numbers into my array. Now, let's say here will be 1. See, my array size became 7. I can add either 0 here, array size 8, and I can like keep adding element into my array. So, and my application will always insert that particular extra number to my array. Okay, so this is just the beginning of the concept what's called dynamic array. So definitely, so there are quite many other interesting things what we can discuss here and implement in our code. So that's what we will do next classes. So will be minimum one more lecture about the dynamic arrays. So and like our target in that particular moment is to understand what is the dynamic array and how to use them like in general coding. So I think it is clear why do we need the dynamic array and why do we need to improve it. So, and okay, actually there is one more thing what I also wanted what I plan to add to our source code. Okay, so here, see dynamic array. I missed that slide in the beginning, so and mostly we already discussed what is that. So why do we need to have dynamic array? Because dynamic array may change the size after declaration, and right here you can see original size was 5, but if I need an extra element, so I can simply add that extra element to my array and the application will not crash. Remember our first version of application where we use just common arrays. In that particular scenario will be very hard to implement because in the beginning we have no idea how many numbers will be inserted by users. So it can be 5, 10, 1000 or 10,000, depends what exactly they want. Okay. Once again, dynamic array is the ideal solution when I have no idea how many elements do I need to insert to our source code. Okay, so now in the beginning, so I announced that where is the advantage and disadvantage of dynamic array. So advantage is pretty clear now. So makes code more stable. So means like I don't really need to care if there is some kind of disbalance in between numbers. What am I going to insert into my source code? So and with those kind of like array size, what I must fix in the beginning, I cannot change at the end. So if I am using the dynamic arrays, that problem is not exist, which as default makes my code more stable. Okay, but see here, there is a disadvantage. So, and disadvantage may not be very clear, very logical, from that particular explanation, but see, what is that disadvantage? Processing speed is lower compared to the common array. So what does it mean? Once we design array, actually we can see it here, with the fixed size, originally 5 elements inside, so I can easily access that particular element. So, but if I'm using the dynamic arrays, every time when I need to add extra numbers, see, I must copy the all other elements. I also must have an array temp which has the same size compared to my original array plus one element. So means that I am using extra memory, and more important, I will always have to copy elements from one array to another array. So such kind of copy significantly reduce the computational speed. So if my array change very frequently, so that will be much harder like to handle such kind of array because of that particular like copy paste procedure. So as a result, computational speed, like processing speed with the dynamic array is always lower compared to the general arrays. So that's the disadvantage. So it is significantly reduce the calculation speed. So if our array is not big, let's say it is like up to 100, even 1000 elements, the modern computers doesn't really care. So they're much more powerful, and they can like copy 1000 element every millisecond, and it will not significantly reduce calculation power of the modern computers. But if we are talking about arrays which contains millions of elements, so that will become a problem. So for the millions of elements, better to have a fixed size array and never use the dynamic array. And right here you can see the tip. So do not use dynamic array if processing computational speed is important. So here, especially when we do have a huge arrays like millions of cells occupying almost the whole RAM. So if I will use the dynamic array, so sometimes it will be like even physically impossible, because my dynamic array should be at least 2 times smaller than the RAM size. Again, why? Because here I am doing the copy. Okay, and as a result, once you are doing the coding, you should be very careful with the dynamic arrays. So again, nothing wrong if you will use it, especially if the array size is not really big, and you definitely don't know the exact size of the data what you are going to use in your source code. So in that sense, no issues, you can use the dynamic array. But sometimes the usage of the dynamic array will be limited by the calculation speed. So, and if your program start working very slowly, so maybe better to move back to the original array, which will make your code like more reliable, more faster. Okay. Okay, so this is the first and brief explanation what is exactly the dynamic array. So why do we need it? So the simple implementation of that particular dynamic array, see here I didn't use any kind of inbuilt function, and there are some for sure in all of the programming languages. So here we just implement the general concept of the dynamic arrays, where our array size can be dynamically adjusted for our code usage. So, and the next lecture we are going to discuss more advanced version of the dynamic array. So we will try to do, for example, how to remove elements. So see here we add element to array. So, but we can do an opposite procedure. So what if I want to remove some elements from the array? So, and such kind of implementation will be also very interesting. And we will also at least talk about the inbuilt version of the dynamic arrays. So the more detailed explanation about such kind of things will be given later when we will at least study some other advanced programming tools like list, dynamic list, and stack, and others. So that will be our next topic of discussion. So for today, that's all, like for today explanation, and let's discuss some other more interesting topics next time. Good luck.